Okay, in this video, I'm going to continue talking about simple random sampling and along with some other sampling techniques that are mentioned in the book there. We're on problem 29. It says the following is a list of the 27 Beatles songs that went to number 1 in the United Kingdom on the record retailer top 50 chart, or in the U.S. On the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Okay, use a graphing calculator to obtain a simple random sample of size 3. Okay, the first thing that we have to do in this list here is we need to order it. Okay, otherwise, what does yesterday mean? Okay, so you want to order this to 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 27, and then so again, how we do this? We go math, and then over to PRB, and then down to number 5 where it says rand int, and then hit 1 comma 27, and then enter, and then I would just, once this list is all numbered, I would just pick off the numbers that are on the list. Okay, so this was the list this was the 3 songs that came up on my calculator when I did this earlier. So the 11th song would be Yesterday. The 25th song is Come Together, and the 12th song is Day Tripper. Okay, and by the way, I want this to be a random thing. So, if I really like Day Tripper, like I don't want to just immediately select that song for whatever reason. Okay, if it comes up randomly, then that's different. Okay, but so that would be the only thing to mention about a simple random sample is that we want it to be a random thing. Okay, problem 30 says, as part of a college literature course, students must select 3 classic works of literature from a list of 36 works and complete critical book reviews for each work selected. Which of the following would produce a simple random sample? Okay, select all that apply. So part A, if you ask someone their opinion on which 3 books are best and select those 3, well, no, that's not a random thing. If you're just asking, somebody their opinion, they might list the 3 that they like, so part B, number the books from 1 through 36 and use a random number table to produce 3 different numbers corresponding to the book selected. Yeah, that's exactly what a simple random sample is. Okay, it's a random selection from a table or a calculator, something. I don't know what number is going to come up on the screen before I hit enter or whatever. Part C, list each book on a separate piece of paper, place all of them in a hat, and then pick 3. Yeah, that's exactly what a simple random sample is kind of like pulling names from a hat I mentioned. Okay, assuming that you're not looking. Okay. Part D, list the names in alphabetical order and then take the first 3 in the list. No, that's not a random selection then. If you're listing all of them in alphabetical order and then just taking the first 3, that's not random. Okay. Part E, organize the books into 3 different groups based on when they were written and then select 1 from each group. No, that's not a random thing. So, it might be that, maybe the better books are written later or earlier or whatever, okay? So that's not random. So only B and C would be the answers for problem 30. Okay, now there's in general, there's 5 sampling techniques that we need to know. We've looked at one of them, which is simple random sampling, okay? And simple random sampling, I've mentioned, is going to be the kind of the preferred option there. Okay, although there is some other techniques that are worth saying. So definition: systematic sample is obtained by selecting every kth individual from the population. The first individual selected corresponds to a random number between 1 and k. So as an example, suppose that the manager of a grocery store wants to manufacture wants to measure the satisfaction of the store's customers, so he decides to survey every 7th customer who's leaving the store, starting with the 5th customer who's leaving the store. Okay, he wants to obtain a sample of 40 customers total, so the survey will include customers 5, so because he's starting with the 5th one, then every 7th customer after the 5th one. Okay, so 5 plus 7 is 12, plus 7 is 19, plus 7 is 26. Okay, he wants to do this until he has 40 customers total. Okay, so he would continue the pattern there of selecting every 7th customer until he gets to the 278th customer. Okay, so that would be exactly the systematic technique. Another definition, a stratified sample is obtained by separating the population into non-overlapping groups, they're called strata, and then obtaining a simple random sample from each stratum. So stratum is singular, strata is plural. The individuals in each stratum should be similar in some way. Okay, so here's an example of the stratified technique. A college official divides the student population into 5 classes: freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and graduate student. The official takes a simple random sample from each class and asks the members regarding their the opinions regarding the student services. So that's exactly the stratified technique. Okay, so the groups should be separated for similarity reasons. Okay, so anyone who's a freshman has to go with all the other freshmen. Anyone who's a sophomore has to go with all the other sophomores, okay, etc. And then once you've got your groups formed, you're selecting a simple random sample from each strata. Okay, so there's a couple things there that are key when we want to identify something as the stratified technique. Another technique that involves getting groups together is called the cluster technique. And it says that a cluster sample is obtained by separating the population into non-overlapping groups called clusters by some means, or as a geographic area or schools in large school district, etc. And then you're going to randomly select some of the clusters using all the members in the selected clusters. Okay, so all is a key word there. The following is an example of a cluster technique. To determine the customer opinion of their check-in service, American Airlines randomly selects 130 flights during a certain week and surveys all the passengers on the flights. Okay, so that would be an example of the cluster technique. Now there's by the way, whenever groups are formed, it's either going to be the stratified technique or the cluster technique, okay? But there's some things that you're looking for, though, in order to determine which one, though. So with the cluster technique, you're selecting everybody from each group, okay? So all is a key word there. Plus, with the cluster technique, the groups aren't formed for like similarity reasons. Like in that last example, okay, anyone who's a freshman has to go with all the other freshmen, and who's a sophomore has to go with all the other sophomores, etc. So in this, there is no separation into groups for similarity reasons. So the groups that are established is really a random thing. Okay, and then the last technique that we need to know is called a convenience sample. And a convenience sample is a sample in which the individuals are easily obtained and not based on randomness. Okay, the most popular of many types of convenience samples are those in which the individuals in the sample are self-selected. Okay. That is, the individuals themselves decide to participate in the survey. Okay, so it's like, you as the researcher really don't do any work. Like the sample comes to you. So here's an example. A radio station asks its listeners to call in their opinion regarding the format of the morning show. Okay, so anyone who's interested in that would call into the show and give their opinion. Okay, and they get their sample that way. Okay, that's a convenient sample. So problem 31 is where I want you to determine if the sampling technique used is random, or simple random, systematic, stratified, cluster, or convenience. Okay, so part A says to estimate the percentage of defects in a recent manufacturing batch, the quality control manager at Apple selects every 13th iPod that comes off the assembly line, starting with the 9th, until she obtains a sample of 60 iPods. Okay, so that would be the systematic technique. Okay, and by the way, you have to pick a number between 1 and 13. Okay, since she's already got to decide that she's going to select every 13th iPod. So, like, let's suppose that I use my calculator, and let's suppose that the number 6 comes up. Okay, so the 6th iPod would be the first one that would be in the sample, and then every 13th iPod after the 6th would be used. Okay, so the 19th one would be the second one in the sample, and then the 32nd one will be the third one in the sample, and I go every 13 from that point on until I have 60. Okay, so that's the systematic technique. Part B says that a football coach randomly selects 5 players on offense and 5 players on defense to run a drill during practice. Okay, so that'd be the stratified technique. So anybody who's an offensive player has to go with all the other offensive players. Anybody who's a defensive player has to go with all the other defensive players. Okay, and then now it wasn't, by the way, any time that groups are being formed, you can think about it as being the stratified technique or the cluster technique. Okay, but it's not going to be the cluster technique though, because you got these two different strata. Okay, the offensive players and the defensive players. Okay. Part C, you reach into a fun-sized bag of M&Ms and select 5 M&Ms at random, hoping to get 2 yellows. Okay, well, hoping to get 2 yellows is not relevant to anything, but that's the simple random technique. Okay, let's see. That's part D. A company is offering a free vacation giveaway. Anyone who is interested should sign up. That'd be the convenience technique, yeah. So anyone who is interested in the giveaway should sign up, and that's how the sample comes to you, right? So the person getting the sample would be only collecting those who signed up for the free vacation giveaway. Okay, part E, a health organization randomly selects 20 fast food restaurants in Illinois and contacts all kitchen supervisors about health standards. Okay, so groups are being formed, so it's going to be either the stratified technique or the cluster technique. The groups weren't being formed for similarity reasons, though. Okay, this is going to be the cluster technique. Okay, so the 20 fast food restaurants are selected, and all the keyword, all the kitchen supervisors are surveyed about health standards. Okay. Part F, every 5th travel bag in an airport is open for an inspection. Okay, so that'd be the systematic technique, right? K would be 5, okay? Part G, a farmer divides his orchard into 50 subsections. He randomly selects 4 and samples all the trees within the 4 subsections to approximate the yield of his orchard. Okay, so again, groups are being formed. So it's going to be either stratified or cluster. It's not the stratified technique because it's not like trees were being separated into different groups for similarity reasons or anything like that. And plus, all is a key word. There samples all the trees within the 4 subsections to approximate the yield of his orchard. Okay. Part H, a member of Congress wishes to determine her constituency's opinion regarding estate taxes. So she divides her constituency into 3 income classes, which are low-income households, middle-income households, and upper-income households. Then she takes a simple random sample of the households from each income class. Okay, so that would be the stratified technique. So anybody who's a low-income household has to go with that group. Anyone who's a middle-income household has to go with that group. Anyone who's an upper-income household has to go with that group. Okay, so the groups are being formed for similarity reasons. And then another key thing is that simple random sample from each strata, okay, or each income class is being selected. Okay, so maybe she decides that she's going to take 5 lower income households, 5 middle income households, and 5 upper income households. So she's got 15 total, and 5, 5, and 5, and giving me the 15 total there. Okay, so that's the stratified technique. Okay, we'll go ahead and stop right there in the notes for now.